All right, attempt number 6. All right. So welcome to Real Estate, the podcast, episode 2, the reboot. No one knows, but we do. We're going to go through this episode talking about Ariel and her story of getting into real estate and how she led up to My Good Agent. So how'd you do it?
Wow, that's such a loaded question, right? How'd I lead up to My Good Agent?
Right. So, all right. So you got into it and you started in banking.
Yeah. So I started my career when I was like 18 years old, and I got a job at Wells Fargo Bank. And I pretty much had every position you could think of in a bank, from being a teller all the way up to being a financial advisor. So I did business loans, lines, personal loans, lines. I did mortgages. I had my NMLS. I held all my securities licenses, my insurance licenses. So I really had my entire world like surrounding finance and knowing everything about finance. This was all I knew. I grew up in the bank. I make that joke all the time. And then, as many people did during the pandemic in 2020, I wound up making the career shift from banking to real estate.
All right. So you survived COVID.
I survived COVID.
In many ways, not only the disease, but also the real estate. Because
right?
How many COVID agents have not made it through?
They're all like dropping off like fleas.
They didn't realize it was hard.
Like, wow, it's a job.
Yeah. You got to put work in.
Honestly, if it wasn't for the bank, I don't think I would have had the structure to really do my own business. And mind you, I was still like baptized by fire in my first year in real estate. I had no freaking idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I still closed, I think, 41 deals, but with no idea. I couldn't tell you how.
So who got you into real estate?
So when I was in banking and key investment services, I had a client in the private bank that owned his own real estate brokerage.
Shout him out.
Scott Lewis of Lewis Real Estate Services.
Shout out to Scott.
Shout out to Scott. I always have to give Scott his props. Like anywhere I go, whenever I talk about like my career in the startup, like I gotta give it up to Scott, because he pushed me. Every time I would meet him for his semi-annuals, he would always say, "You'd be really great in real estate. You'd be really great in real estate. You should really do real estate."
It's funny because we as leaders in the business do this daily. We meet people and go, "Hey, I think you'd be good in this business," because we know what it takes to succeed,
sure.
Right? And look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anybody. There's a ton of agents out there, even in our own brokerage, that I know will never make this a full-time career. It's just reality, right?
Yeah.
It's a hard business to be in. But it's not at the same time, right? If you're consistent and you hold yourself accountable, you can be where I am and where you are. And so, all right. So Scott got you in.
Yeah. So Scott got me in. So, Scott pretty much told me, every time he would come in, he would, try to poach me. And every time I would respectfully decline.
Right.
I liked my job at the bank. In my mind, I made decent money. I had a prestigious title, got to dress up to go to work every day. It was real grown up, at all of age, I think like 26, 27.
So what was the push for you to go, all right, I'm going to do this?
So I was a licensed relationship manager in my last position that I had at the bank. And I was on something called the branch manager bench, where the leader said that if there was ever going to be any type of promotion, they would promote from within, because we have all of the talent within already. So I was on this branch manager bench with 4 other individuals. There were 5 of us. And he said that if any branch was in need of a licensed branch manager, we would be on the front line to get called.
Absolutely.
So in my own personal branch, my office, my branch, which was in Wallingford, Wallingford, Connecticut, my branch manager, who was actually a really good friend of mine, like to this day, got transferred to another office, and they hired externally for another manager.
Wow.
And then asked me to train her. Yep. Because it was COVID, they couldn't go to training sites.
Right.
And I was basically already running the branch. So what do they have me do? Train someone else to run the branch.
So that was like your calling of, all right, these people don't care about me.
Oh, for sure.
They don't value me.
Oh, absolutely.
I have to value me.
Yeah.
Right?
And you know what? Like I just sat there pissed for a while, but I didn't really do anything about it. But then, Scott came in for his semi-annual, and he just said it on the right day. And I was like, you know what, Scott? Tell you what, if you sponsor me, you pay all my startup costs, like you get me going, like I will, I'll work for you. I'll become an, and then I remember he always would say, like, you don't work for me, you're It's your own business.
We said the same thing.
We do.
Right? We empower the agents.
We empower the agents. And so he did say that. And so I was like, all right, yeah, great. So, but then he gave me the caveat. He was like, but I need you to front all of your startup costs and I'll reimburse you.
Cool.
Because I can't tell you how many agents I've paid for their classes and I've paid all their fees and they never followed through.
Nope.
So I was like, okay, fine. I respect it. Because if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Right. Well, it creates the
investment,
the sense of urgency, the willingness to invest in yourself to get investment from others.
Absolutely.
Right? So, all right. So you took that jump and you were like, all right, I got my license. You did the whole Mass Connecticut thing, got your license through Mass, reciprocated through Connecticut, which obviously is
obvious
a nightmare.
Mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. But
if I can go back, I wouldn't do it like that. If you know you're just going to like be licensed in Connecticut and work in Connecticut and you're not planning on branching out and going anywhere else, fine, do it that way.
It's funny. And there's a ton of agents that are dual licensed in Connecticut and Florida, and you're dual licensed Connecticut, Florida. But
I let my Mass expire.
It doesn't make sense to me. Right? Like, obviously, like, if you're moving,
right,
or you're going from, or you're doing what I do. Like, I actually travel
you
the
go
country.
to Florida, right? Like, but I was gonna let you finish, but I was like, see, me being dual licensed doesn't really make as much sense these days, but I'm just still dual licensed because,
like, right now I got a deal under contract in 4 states, right?
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's cool, but at the same time, it's a lot of work. And the only reason why I do it is because I'm the managing broker and I have to recruit. And in order to recruit, I got to be able to talk the business.
Right.
So at least I can say I've done contracts in multiple states. 5 states actually I've done business in. So now I can talk the talk with agents. Right. And as you come into this role, I can come to you and say, hey, this is how we do it in these states. You don't need to be licensed there. Right. And you're going to flourish and do whatever you're going to do. So, all right. So now you're licensed, you're in Connecticut, you're doing your thing. You sold a bunch of real estate in your first year. What was the driving factor for that?
Well, all right. This is like a very interesting part of the journey because when I got my license, I got licensed in December of 2020, got my reciprocal in I think like January, February of 2021. And then, my plan was to be a part-time agent.
Right.
I never planned on being a full-time agent. I had every intention of keeping my day job, working at the bank.
Like that 9 to 5.
Yeah. And I know that I leave Wallingford. I can leave around like 5 every day, or I could figure it out.
Right.
Because at that point, no one's going to really tell me what to do. I run the store.
It's comfortability.
I was comfortable. Yeah. And then I made a very verifiable mistake. And I sent myself an email from my work computer that said Massachusetts real estate exam.
Which, as in a bank, you can't be real estate licensed.
It's not, yeah. It depends. Like, so for me, I couldn't be because I had my NMLS and I had my securities licenses and my insurance licenses. So I was supposed to do an OBA, an outside business activity request form, like asking for permission to get my real estate license.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Imagine asking permission to live your life.
You would even have to ask permission to be in a band. Like if you had a band and you wanted to do something on the side like that, you need to fill out your OBA because it's an outside business activity. And you need to disclose it and you need to get permission for certain things.
I think that's why I love being in real estate. I don't need permission to do anything.
To do a gosh darn thing, man.
We're our own bosses. We get to live our lives the way we want to live it.
I could never go back.
No, me neither.
I could never go back.
I think about it all the time. I've been in this business 8 years now, right? And I'm like, I think about it every day. I wake up when I want to wake up. I do what I want to do. I go on vacation when I want to go on vacation. Sure, don't get me wrong. Like we work 24/7, right? We're on our phones.
Always.
No one understands that drive that we actually put into it to be successful. But at the same time, we can enjoy our lives.
Yeah.
And enjoy our lives the way we want. All right. So at this point, you're licensed. You're with Scott Lewis. You sent that email. And
I get a call from Carrie from HR. I'll never forget her. Carrie from
God
HR.
Damn it, Carrie.
Damn it, Carrie. And so
sounds like an HR name.
Bro. And so she's just like basically giving me the riot act about like, like I'm probably like they got to do their investigation. I'm like, oh my God, all right, let me hurry up and type up my letter of resignation.
Right.
And I typed up my letter of resignation that day, and I just turned it into that new manager I had a horrible manager. I was training her, and she didn't even want to learn. That was a part of the thing that I was sick of. I'm like, I'm trying to teach you. You don't even want to learn, and I don't even want to be here. And just all these things.
It takes these type of stories to create a good real estate agent.
Yeah.
I had a similar story,
And the thing is, it's like, I knew, like, I'd already bought a house at that point in time. I think I was like 27 years old at that point.
Gotcha.
And I bought my house at 22. So I went through the process, and I did not have a smooth experience at all.
Yeah.
And, I had a good enough idea of it. And I figured whatever it is, I could figure it out. Mm-hmm. It can't be rocket science.
Right.
And if people that I'm looking around that are doing it can do it, I'm like, why can't I? Like, I have structure. I know the numbers. I know the back end of it. Yep. I know finance. I've basically been classically trained in sales. Like, when I got my banker's license, Wells Fargo sent me to Manhattan. I lived in Manhattan for a month, where they gave me my daily spending stipend. I was in that big high-rise building, going to that top floor, like, to sit in trainings. Like, I felt important.
The reality.
I mean, I learned a lot.
Right.
If nothing else, like, I have to give it up to corporate America. It taught me so much in how to exist in the wilderness of entrepreneurship.
So, all right. So now at this point, you're like, okay, I'm leaving the bank. Mm-hmm. I'm going all in on real estate. You're with Scott Lewis. Now, how long did you stay at Lewis Real Estate for?
I stayed with Scott Lewis for 1 year. I stayed with him for 1 year.
Gotcha.
I would have stayed longer. I moved to Florida. Mm-hmm. I moved to Florida. Very early on, we realized quickly that we bumped heads a lot. So me and Scott had like our own understanding of, listen, if I need you, I'll call you, but I'll figure it out.
Right.
And I figured it all out.
So you switched. All right, so you were there for a year. You moved to Florida. So what company did you go to next?
I went to EXP, and the reason why is because I had like a lot of stuff going on like back in Connecticut, but I also had really mastered the art of my craft in Connecticut. Like I had closed 41 deals that first year.
Which is impressive.
Like,
it's same thing when in my first year.
I felt like it was a baptism by fire. I was just like walking around like with my eyes closed, like trying to find padded walls, right? But I figured it out, and I was really proud of myself, and I figured if I can replicate this in Florida, this would be awesome. And I did research on Florida. There's higher price points in Florida, the part where I was going to move to, which is like close to my father and my grandmother, and like Hollywood and Aventura, Florida, where I can be in like the Miami market. I had this vision of what my real estate world was going to look like in Miami, and then or Boca rather, because I was going to work with like Nikki Klein and the Brilliant team, and she's actually the one that recruited me to EXP. Wow. And shout out to Nikki. And I, realized at that point that it made more sense to be with a brokerage that would start me out at an 80-20 split. There was a $16,000 cap, and I would have already capped. I wound up negotiating a cap with Scott Lewis at $22,000, and you still made $22,000 off me, bro. And then. But the EXP structure made sense, and I could practice in both states. But I quickly learned that I was doing majority of my business in Connecticut still.
Well, it's tough because obviously I went down to Florida too. I did do a lot of business in Florida, but I think you went down there for personal reasons and you really didn't put the focus on building that Florida business. I did. I had the brokerage back up in Connecticut I had to worry about. I had the brokerage down in Florida to worry about. So I had to sell, right?
Yeah.
But so you spent your time in Florida with EXP, going back and forth in Connecticut, doing those things. So
like sometimes up to 3 times a month I was flying back and forth.
Which is crazy. And driving sometimes too with Penny, your dog. Because I remember you telling me, you're like, I'm driving. I'm like, who got your dog? She's like,
She's in the back seat.
Yeah. Which I guess was good because like at this point you're like, all right, I can go back and forth between Connecticut and Florida. I can keep my business in Connecticut's great, but I'm going to build Florida or not. I mean, you were living your best life too. You're vacationing a lot.
I wound up like in my first year in Florida, I did some deals with Joe Brickman, a modern agent, Joe. So me and Joe did some business and my guy. And, I did some of my own, like I ran a couple of my own deals.
Right.
But I just learned that Florida is so transient.
It is.
You know, like there's not the ability to really build that deep lasting relationship. It's a lot of investors. It's a lot of just like hard, what is the money? There's not that same relationship in doing business that I feel like you have in Connecticut.
Well, Connecticut's definitely more of a long-term community.
Right.
Like Florida, right? People are coming and going in Florida. The market in Florida is nuts because every 5 years, it tends to either go up or go down.
Yeah.
Right now, it's going down.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of agents are leaving the business of Florida because, I mean, look, we had 20 agents in Florida. Now we're down to like 5. And it's not because of us.
Right.
It's because of the market.
It's the market.
And agents aren't surviving, right? But in New England and New York and all these northern states and even the Midwest states, market's crazy. You know, our Florida agents that we do, I lied, we have like 15 agents now, but we went from 20 to 5 back up to 15. But some of my Florida agents are like, dude, I'll get licensed in Connecticut and come sell up there. I'm like, come.
Do it. The market's crazy. The business is here.
It's wild. Like Mass, New York, Rhode Island, Tennessee. Nashville is the hottest market in the country right now.
If you look at market research, even just for like Connecticut alone, right? I think it was like back in or like the early 2000s, at any given time, you'd have like in the entire state, like 70, 80,000 houses for sale.
I don't ever looked at it.
Well, I was talking to an agent about it and he was like talking about it. And I looked at the statistics and then I think now in all of New Haven County, I think as a whole, there's like 2,100 houses.
Yeah.
You know, if you just think about the crash decline of properties available, is crazy right now.
Yeah. It's a low inventory. And, you know, but we also can't build in Connecticut, like the Midwest and Florida. Like Florida, Tennessee, all these states have so much land and they can just keep building and building and building. We can't build.
Yeah, so, we are one of the original 13 colonies. Right. We have been...
We're here.
Yeah.
We've been around.
And everything's old.
Yeah. And you probably have crumbling foundation, but we only in the northern part of the state.
Oh, my God.
You have radon down. No, I'm just kidding.
So, mitigation.
All right, so... Obviously, the market is crazy. You did a ton of business. You were going back and forth. All right. So at this point, you're at EXP. You were kind of on Nikki's team, but not really. You were unofficially on her team.
Yeah. I mean, I learned like with that team structure that the team leader would always get 20% of everything I did, no matter whether or not they touched the deal.
Right. You don't truly cap.
There's no true cap. And not to mention that meant my Connecticut deals, which she has nothing to do with. I had no problem while I was growing my business in Florida, giving my team leader whatever we agreed on.
Right.
Right. But not my Connecticut business is completely separate. But the way that EXP was structured, I couldn't make that delineation. So I never actually officially joined her team because I never signed the team agreement. Like I was on her team for months, but I never signed the agreement because they couldn't get EXP to work that part out. And I wasn't signing that document as long as that was in it.
And EXP won't.
They won't.
They won't. Their rules with their teams are very strict. And it once you sign on to a team, that's it. You stay to whatever that team agreement is. And EXP's team agreements start at 50-50.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I like My Good Agent, because everything we do is flexible.
Yeah, just talk to the broker. Talk to the broker, talk to me. Yeah. We talk all day, so your message will get relayed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I think that's why we're growing so quickly is because we're so flexible.
Yeah.
Everything we do is flexible. Even though everybody gets the same split, we're flexible within that same split. You know, and we're business people. We understand that business is business, right?
Business is business.
And there's going to be deals we make that are more flexible than other deals because the agent's producing, right? We want producing agents. And do
you know what the best leverage is? Being a producer.
That's it. That's it. So you want a good deal at a brokerage? Well, you get a good deal the minute you walk through My Good Agent, whether you're selling or not.
Right.
But if you want the best deal possible at any brokerage, you need to negotiate and be a producer.
Facts.
So, all right, you're unofficial and Nikki. You're all right, I'm not doing this because I want to give up my Connecticut business. It's not fair to you.
It wasn't. I just wasn't going to do it because at that point I'd also realized that I just like doing business in Connecticut better. So I wound up just living in Florida, living my absolute best life.
Vacations galore.
Yo, and I would stumble into vacations. Like literally, I was home one day with my girlfriend and her 2 kids, and I get a call saying, do I want to hop on a private jet to the Bahamas? But I have to be there by 12 p.m. And it was 9 a.m. And I packed a bag and I hopped on that private jet to the Bahamas.
For the record, I never got invited to any of these vacations. I'm over here like, I'm like, all right, we met once, and I'm like, all right, fine. We're both in Florida, both living. Never one invite, not one invite, but it's okay. I won't hold a grudge. And I do hold grudges. I'm only kidding. Kind of. It depends on who you are.
Oh my, you better ask about them.
Yeah. Listen, I tell everybody, a good quality, a good characteristic that's quality in real estate is a little bit psycho.
Oh, just a little bit.
A little bit.
It gets the job done. Right?
Not fully psycho. The psycho meter is like 75%. It's one of those psychopaths that you just know like they're gonna do well in this business. If I think you're crazy, I know you'll sell a bunch of real estate. I knew the minute I met you. I'm like, she's crazy. She's a psychopath. No.
Listen, we all have a story.
We all have autism.
We all have a story. But yeah, dude, and I will also say every vacation that I hit, I never stopped working.
Hell yeah.
The amount of videos, if I went through like all the photos and videos on my phone of people just getting me walking around in circles and like just on my iPad that I bring with me everywhere. Like it's hysterical.
I was in the middle of the Grand Canyon with my cell phone up in the air trying to get service because I'm like, clients are trying to call me. I don't know how we survive.
If you ask Nick Fabian, one of our lenders, there was a time I was in Guatemala in one of those like buggies like on a side of a mountain, and like we're talking about how we're structuring a deal. He's like, bro, where are you? I'm in Guatemala in a hut.
I was literally on the freaking Hoover Dam on a boat in the middle of nowhere where no cell phone reception, and I'm sitting there trying to get a text out, and I'm like trying everywhere, bringing the boat to the side of the mountain, trying to get a text, trying to at least get a little service. That's just the reality of our business.
I love it. I love every inch of it. Well. I literally brought everyone in my life into this business with me so we can just live like this together.
Exactly.
I'm like, I can go on these vacations and do these things, but I can't bring the people I want to do it with.
Well, because they got 9 to 5. Now they don't.
Now they don't.
Shout out Oscar and Nat, right?
Shout out Oscar and Nat. Now the only thing that we need to figure out is when we're all on vacation, who's going to run the business.
Right. Where's John?
John, Cody, can I borrow John?
Yeah. So, all right. So at this point, with this great life you're living, trying to, enjoy your vacations, at what point are you going, all right, I see this Cody guy and I'm going to talk to him and I'm thinking about switching, but maybe not switching.
So
I'm Cody, by the way.
that is Cody, the one and only. Well, I mean, you're definitely not the one and only Cody, but you're the one and only Cody. Yeah. For real.
I make people, when they talk about other Codys, I make them rename them while they're talking to me. So we got this new agent, Jessica, and she's working with a Cody loan officer. So now I make her call him Nick.
Oh my god!
Or some other name, and
that's crazy.
She'll
Nick
call
is
me.
Crazy.
Yeah, she'll call me and go, Cody. I mean Nick.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! That's crazy. Dude.
I know. What can I say?
Oh my gosh. Anyway, what were you saying?
So, besides the crazy.
Oh, anyway.
So the thought process of, all right, you.
Oh, yes.
Cody.
Okay. Reeled me back in. Yeah. Here we go. Well, I mean, the first time I saw you, it posted something on Facebook about your plane getting delayed or something like that, and you were here for an extra day, and I had just gotten back, and we had just kept trying to catch each other, and we kept missing each other. So I reached out to you purely just because I like building connections with people. I wasn't trying to join My Good Agent. I wasn't trying to recruit you to EXP.
I thought she was trying to recruit me to EXP. Let's put that on the record.
I wasn't.
But we weren't even My Good Agent then.
Whatever you were. Yeah, I just knew that. Homes. I just saw you a lot on the internet. Yeah. I don't even.
Talking shit.
And you were posting a lot of your successes at the time. And I was still, and I knew you were going back and forth between Connecticut and Florida. And so I was still figuring that out. So I just wanted to build connections.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how I live my life, just trying to build connections. So I reached out to you, and it just so happened to work out. Like, we were going to go meet, I think, like the next day or something like that.
We did, yep.
And you told me to pick a place, and I just like Googled something. I know nothing about you. And
chose a restaurant that had $150 steaks, just so for the record. And if everybody who knows me knows my favorite restaurant's Chili's. So if you know me, Chili's is like $60 for 5 people, all right? So $150 steaks is crazy. Continue.
Listen, and if you didn't offer to pay, I would have.
Right. I was going to pay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but know, I also go by the rule of thumb if I invited you out.
She didn't look at the menu, for the record, so... But it's fine.
I didn't. I really didn't look at the menu. I was just like, okay.
It was a cool spot.
It was a cool spot. And
it was called Kalou's, I think.
I don't even remember, but I remember the waiter was rude.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we were sitting there, and we ended up talking for like 4 hours.
But also, the place was empty. Like, let's paint the picture. There was no one there.
It was right on the water. It's beautiful, right? And now, like, we weren't dressed nice. We were dressed in our normal, everyday clothes. I was sick. I didn't even want to be there, like, other than meeting you and making
He can speak for himself. I looked great.
I did not, however. And I personally think they were, maybe prejudging a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Little did they know, like, we're very successful people, but it's not about money. It's never about money. I'm not a money-driven person, but unfortunately, these fancier restaurants, if you're dressed the way I was dressed that day, and I was dressed like a bum, you're probably going to think, all right, these, let's get this guy out of here. But
also, like, we did, like, you tipped him very well. Even after you gave him that well tip, he was still being rude.
Yeah,
and then they, like, shoot us to the bar.
Yeah, I think the bill was, like, it wasn't that much. You got a salad, and I got a steak, and I think it came to, like, $120. And I think I tipped him, like, $50. Which is crazy.
Yeah, he didn't deserve it.
And like the 2 meal, like steak takes 5 minutes to cook, and salad you just throw it in a bowl, right? So like I tipped you $50 for something that took you 5 minutes to cook. All right. So anyways,
and you didn't cook it anyway. You delivered it, but that's neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there. Right.
But yeah, we were chatting. We were just like,
it was a good time.
It was a vibe. Like you were a vibe. I really enjoyed just hanging out with you and shooting the shit. Yeah. Right. So. I mean, I didn't think much of it. I think we hung out a few more times. Yep. And I think that you just directly...
I shot my shot.
Asked me one day. Yeah.
I was like, you're joining My Good Agent, right?
And you directly asked me just like that. But you pretty much presented it to me. And I wasn't against it. And I was listening to it. But you didn't have my buy-in.
Yeah.
I was also shopping Real.
Yep.
And one of my girlfriends who's now with My Good Agent was with Real.
Shout out to Michelle.
Shout out to Niche. Yeah. And so I was considering my options, and then we met one more time, and instead of just coming with what we were initially negotiating on, you invited me to become the managing partner and presented me with a structure, basically an offer I couldn't refuse.
No, right.
So... And I mean, I understand that we're a growing company, so I understand like why you structured it the way that you did, and I'm cool with that.
Right.
And I was always cool with that because I saw the vision.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I was talking about this yesterday with someone. A lot of these real estate companies, we won't name them, but they have all these executives for 30 agents, and they got all these fancy things, fancy offices, all this stuff, and salaries, like very heavy salaries. I couldn't carry heavy salaries in this growing company because I've invested. The way I've structured My Good Agent was I invested more in the tech, more in the innovations than the salaries. So I'm just going to put it out there. We set up our managers on an override basically. So you basically get profit share on every deal to help grow and build the company. We won't disclose what that is because no one's business, but I think that was the smartest route for me, and I did that with multiple people in the company, like my assistant, like you, like whoever, and it's working, right? We're building up, and we're getting a lot of momentum, right? We're building this great new model, and I said it first. So if you see anybody else promote what I'm about to say, they stole it from me. Traditional meets cloud-based. Okay. We were the first of its kind.
Bang.
We took the traditional real estate model and we took the cloud-based model and went like that.
Yeah.
Right. And if anybody else comes out after this day, and I've been saying it for months now, but anybody else says that their traditional meets cloud-based, they took it from me.
No, and honestly, I think that's genius.
Yeah.
So now let me turn this around and ask you. So what made you decide in that second time we met again, after you had pitched me My Good Agent, and I told you I needed to think about it, about presenting me with the opportunity to become your managing partner?
Well, a lot of it has to do with presence, stage presence, right? Stage presence. I'm a musician. You know, you did acting, you did modeling, you know the whole term of stage presence. Reputation, self-accountability, things like that, right? I looked at those things. I looked at your social media. I looked at the business you were doing. You're doing a good amount of business. Was it a tremendous amount of business? I don't know. That's subjective, right? It was a lot of business. At the end of the day, it's a lot of business, right? But now you're doing a tremendous amount of business, and we've seen, over the last year of you being in My Good Agent, I feel like the managing partner role for you kind of like developed, right? Because originally it was, hey, come in and do this. And the amount of success you're having with like recruiting has been like, who knew, right? Who knew that was going to be more of the cap that you're wearing is recruiting and support, right? So to go back to your question, it really comes down to presence, right? And what you're doing to put out there. You had a lot of videos, your stories, posting on Instagram stories all the time. That's important in this business,
For
right?
sure.
So, and the other thing too is like, we had such a good conversation the first time we met. I hold on to those things, right? I'm the type of person where I really feel people's energies the minute I meet them. And if I feel like there's a vibe there, I want to hold on to that and keep it. And I'm obsessive in that sense, right? So I don't like to give up those good vibes. So I was like, I'll do whatever I need to do to get you over at My Good Agent. And then where the kind of the shift went, where I'm like, all right, I can invite her in to basically have an equitable position in the company, was me and my assistant were talking. I said, hey, listen, like, I don't want to sell real estate anymore. I want to focus on the brokerage. I want to focus on the growth of the brokerage, recruiting agents, and I need to find somebody that will help build this company and promote this company like it's their own, but I can't afford them yet. I can't afford them. So the profit share model was very smart in the sense of I can leverage at the end of the day.
Everything is leverage.
Everything is leverage, right? And you were the perfect person for it. So that's where we are. And, I think transparency is always the best thing in business. I don't think a lot of companies have transparency, and I think we do it the best.
I can definitely attest to that as well.
I mean, we have agents that started with us, either hate one of us, and now they all love us, right? Maybe there's one or two. Well, you never know. I couldn't tell you. But a lot of people can't handle the directness, right?
For sure.
The unsugarcoating of the sugarcoating, right? And I'm not going to sit here and hold anybody's hand. Neither do you.
Yeah.
And we're not going to baby or coddle anybody. This is business. And I feel like in real estate,
it's so funny. We give people the same answers, except you're more stern and I say it more bubbly.
Yeah. So,
but we say the same shit.
Honestly, so like we do say the same stuff, but the funnier part about it, mine are 45-second calls. Yours are like 20 minutes. You do coddle a little bit.
I do more I for sure do more coddling than you, but I think that's a part of the balance, right? Like, and I think some agents need more of that, and you really can't commit to doing that, and that's where I come in because I can coddle, but I'm still going to be direct.
Exactly.
I'm going to say essentially what you said, just in more words.
Yeah, yeah. And we also have an AI bot that says the same stuff as us too, but Cody bot.
Better words.
In better words, cleaner, more professional.
Oh my goodness.
I love Cody Bot.
I haven't talked to him in a while.
Nobody has. I feel like he's just floating on an island right now.
You should go say hi to him later.
How many brokerages have a true AI bot in their communication app that answers all of their questions 24/7?
And it's accurate.
We've tested it.
It's so cool.
It's awesome.
I know.
I wonder what brokerage will get that next. Who are you? I know who you are. I won't say your name. You know who you are. Don't make Cody get passive aggressive.
They who shall not be named.
They're already named mentally and in my eyes. What world do we live in?
Obviously, it's Cody's world right now.
It's Cody's world, right?
Listen, I mean, we're here. It's definitely Cody's world.
Listen.
Listen, it's a fun island.
It's a fun island. Listen, it's a little crazy, but it's good crazy, right? Mm-hmm. I'm all about like transparency, truth. I like just putting out energy that's real, right? You'll never get a fake bone out of me, and it's just not me.
But I think that's the thing, right? I feel like as a whole, we can just have more of an appreciation for people who are honest and transparent. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to make mistakes. And we're all going to fumble and have egg on our face or just not be our best selves one day. But if you can be honest and accountable about it, it's way easier for people to find forgiveness and empathy and to be able to just meet you where you're at. But if you're not being honest and you're being, if you're telling untruths and you're trying to be scheming and slimy, you're just gonna leave like a
stick
feeling.
Look, and there's people that don't like me, there's people that don't like you. It just not a lot of them, but they're out there, right? They don't know us personally. Like, and listen, this is what I tell everybody goes through life with downs, right? And if you judge people on those downs while they're trying to build the ups, you're not the person they want around you, because you're going to keep bringing them down and putting them down, and we all have those moments. And I try to be empathetic to people and their downs, and I understand everyone. I've downs. I had listen. And I'll be transparent. And I was transparent with all of our agents. I had the downest of downs back in the winter, right? And I wanted to escape on an island. I didn't want to be present, right, and doing real estate every day. I wanted to go hide in Nashville and just go play music or go have fun. And the reality is like, I knew deep down that I needed to focus on building my company, right? And the minute I like triggered out of that down, my up has been crazy.
Yeah, that down was a paranoia at that too. It was scary.
Yeah, it was a like, down.
I was like,
and it lasted almost a year. But
now like that down has.
Oh, we're. And where I'm going with this is my ups have been putting the ups on everybody in our company, including yourself. Like we talk every day. We talk about the things we're doing, the things that we're promoting, the growth of the company. We recruited like 15 agents in the last 30 days.
I know. How crazy is that?
It's wild, right? We're at 60 agents now.
When did that happen? I still say like 50.
No, it's like 60. It's like 60.
How cool.
Right now it's 60 between 4 states.
Okay.
So it's mixed around, right? But reality is like we have the capacity to keep growing it, right? We've built the one thing that we did was we built out My Good Agent to be, technically speaking, we're already built out for 200 agents. So that means from 60 to 200, we're good. We're even. We're smooth sailing, right? It took years to get there, but it took the right leadership and mindset to get there, right? So, all right. So at this point, you're all in. You join me. You're like, let's do it. My Good Agent, right? It's a great name, by the way.
It is. It's a great name.
Wonderful name.
It's better than good.
It's better. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, why be anywhere else, right?
But I think about it, people will talk about me and they'll literally describe me as a really good agent. Right. Right. And I know I'm fucking phenomenal. Right.
The best.
But I try.
Subjective. 2 people in here think they're the best at real estate.
That's all that matters to me. Right. Like, yeah, y'all can think whatever you want. I'm great.
Yeah.
Because listen,
we do a lot of off market. So you people going to check your MLS stats, kick rocks.
Right?
We do so much off market.
The millions this year. We're off market already.
Off market like kings and queens of real estate. Like we have so much off market. And my biggest year, I did more in off market than I did on MLS. So all you MLS chasers, screw off.
But either way, so
yeah.
What were we saying?
I don't know. The ADHD, right?
I know.
It's the tizzy. So yeah, it really is. So all right, we're at this point. You joining My Good Agent. Oh, you're the whole good agent thing.
Oh yeah, people tell me all the time, like, oh, I hear you're a really good agent. I'm like, I am. I thought in the past 2 weeks, I've been told that people have heard I'm a really good agent at least 5 times minimum, like from different people.
Literally, I am.
And I think about it, I'm like, that's why this is such a great name, My Good Agent.
It creates ownership for the consumer too. That's My Good Agent.
My Good Agent.
Yeah, My Good Agent.
I love it. I really do. I think it's a great name.
Yeah.
Only a psychopath like yourself can come up with it.
And everyone already knows the story of how it came up, so we won't get into that. But so, all right. At this point now, we're a year and a half into you being with My Good Agent. Yeah. Right? So it's been a year and a half. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, good ups, good downs, right? I feel like at this point, right, I feel like we had our downs.
Oh my gosh. That, right? Yeah, we have.
The end of 2024, I mean, we could talk about it. Like, we were not on the same page with a lot of things. There was a lot of like animosity. I think it was natural animosity. I don't think it was like forced or anything. It's just, and we both had a lot going on. There was, for me, my mind wasn't clear. So my mind was in places it shouldn't have been, but it was there, right? And we could be transparent, right? The last 3 months has been very mending for a lot of us in the company. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, I think, again, we go back to, you have to be empathetic to people when they're down, right? Because, you know, things are good now. Things have fixed, you know, anything that was done or said is in the past, and, you know, it's going to make us stronger as people. And I think people hold on too much to things that you really can't control, right? Yeah. I can't control your mind. You can't control my mind. It's the same thing with all of our agents, all of our people around us, our friends, our family. But the growth of the company has been absolutely crazy. Our social media presence has been wild.
Out of this world. Wild. And honestly, shout out to you on that one, homie, because you have been crushing it. Like, you have been really going the extra mile, learning what's trending, learning how to really present the company in a really great light. And I think that by those works and efforts, you've really been able to catapult the business too.
And we don't have a media team.
We don't. The media team is here.
It's here. It's me. It's everybody involved. Everybody puts their, you know, piece together, you know. And I think a big part of it was me stepping out of production, because I don't really produce anymore. I do deals here and there, you know, keep the bills and the vacations going, and my assistant paid because he needs to have a salary, right? So I do keep deals flowing for that reason. But I focused a lot of my energy on the other part, not the operations, but more operations, but front end stuff too. Yeah. Like the social media, right? And we lacked on the social media. You're the one who said it. You're like, Cody, social media for the last 2 years. And I was just like, nah, we're good.
You're like, no. I
was like, I don't have the budget for it. Everything's budget.
And then you like hired some girl that just did like the most bland thing, just like fill the page. You
know, to her fairness, I didn't really. Did you give her direction? Not really, no. Okay. And she probably would have been really good if I gave her the stuff that needed to be done, but
you just weren't in a place to really focus on it.
No, I wasn't really in a place to focus on a lot of things, but the social media aspect, I'll listen, everybody knows why I did it, you know.
Listen, I always say too, right? You know when you're not working to your potential. Right. You know it. You feel it, like in your nuggets, like you know that you are not working as hard as you possibly can. And sometimes that's okay, because sometimes you need that break, because you know when you work as hard as you possibly can and you turn that switch on and you flip it on, there's no going off and you're just like going. Yep. And I feel like you probably took that time and like really took that space and then flipped it on.
Yeah. Oh, it was a 15-day loading period for sure.
Yeah.
I counted out. But in that time though, you were a big motivator, because you know, I vented to you, I vented to a lot of people of like what was going on with me, and you know, like it kind of just like struck a fire in my ass. I'm like, our social media needed work.
Like, let's do this.
You guys could go scroll it. Go down a year. You'll go, wow, this looks awful.
No, but like these past couple months have been sick. But I mean, it goes back to flipping on that switch, right? You know, you asked me before, like, since joining My Good Agent, what did I do? I flipped the switch on.
Yo, crazy.
Crazy
switch.
Because I felt like I had a home now, right? I didn't want to get too deep. Like, I decided I was going to switch to My Good Agent a year before I did. Right. And we discussed it and we talked about it. I think now I remember better. I was planning on switching for a year.
Right.
But I kept having deals coming and I kept working deals and I didn't want to lose any of the commission on those deals. Yep. And I think that's finally, like, it was towards the end of the year, you were like, look, I have this opportunity for you if you join My Good Agent in this position. And I was with the team within 2 months.
I think too, you called your dad and was like, "Hey, should I do it?" I think you did, right? Did you call your dad?
I called my dad about moving.
Right.
I called him about moving
because you were moving back to Connecticut.
Because I found out that my rent in Florida was going up, and it was going up. Mind you all, I was in a 530 square foot 1-bedroom apartment. It was cute, and I decked it out.
Florida.
In Hollywood, Florida. Yeah. It was a great spot, actually.
Yeah.
Like.
Should have held on to it as a My Good Agent vacation spot.
We should have. Like, now thinking, like...
going back.
Thinking now, too, like, that rent wasn't really as crazy as I thought it was.
No.
I mean, for the space, I still think it was, but, like, not really. Like, if I really just wanted a vacation
you're
spot.
minutes from Hollywood Beach, you know? Like, that's like my house in Florida. My house was walking distance to the beach. I had it made. I should have never sold that house. I think about it all the time. I'm like, man, and I stole that house. I paid $280 for it.
Wow.
Yeah, and the thing is, I sold it I only held on to that house for 6 months, and I sold it for $340. So I made what, 60, 80 grand, whatever it was.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. But at the end of the day, whatever,
right?
Life happens, and we move forward.
But that was it, right? So my rent was going up, and I was either going to move. I didn't really want to move back to Connecticut. Like, one of my girlfriends like had a really nice pool house I could have moved into. My dad had a friend with like a really nice like pool house in a mansion. Too. Yeah, no, not living next to my dad's proproperties.
I met your dad. No, shout out to
Yoni. Yeah. No.
Your dad knows how to grind my gears, by the way. I'm only saying this because he's probably going to watch this. All he has to do is agree with somebody else.
He knows it. But
I love your dad, though.
My dad, he's amazing. Honestly, I really credit a lot to the way that I communicate with people, especially when it comes to relationship building, to watching him.
Yeah. You know? And your mom she speaks well, too.
Oh, my mom is a smooth one.
Hell yeah.
I would argue that my mom helped teach my dad. I mean, she did help teach him English. Like, he spoke broken English when they met, and she taught him English.
He's right on the... came from Israel.
Yeah, came from Israel. Was born and raised there. Yeah. And
shout out to Israel.
Shout out to Israel. And he met my mom. He was an overnight gas pumper at the time.
Crazy.
He pumped her gas.
He built but you know what? The American dream. He built such an incredible life. Multiple properties, great career. I mean, watching
him and watching my mom and within their own respect, right? Like my mom has more degrees that's necessary, right? Like we moved to Connecticut. Well, we moved from Florida to New York to Connecticut. But when we moved to New York, she got a job as a deputy director of the building of the Tappan Zee Bridge, which I think is like the Cuomo Bridge now or something like that. It got knocked
down. The bridge she did got knocked down.
Like she was number 2 in command. She's not an engineer. How'd she get that job? I don't know. Like she's the epitome of like being able to just talk your way into any room.
That was me, you know, and you. We're you know what? That's a good characteristic. Like, you know, for me, like I talked my way into like store manager positions in retail. Like people believed everything I said because a lot of it, and this is it's
confidence.
Confidence, but it's illusion of choice and illusion of it's like a manipulation almost, right? Like when I went in for interviews, I interviewed them and they were like, at the end, they're like, wait, did I do my interview? They're like, you could see them like thinking like, it's like that movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. Right, where he like goes into all these careers and he like talks his way into like being a doctor, a pilot, this and that. That's kind of like that. Like, and it's a little sociopathic, I guess, but it makes a great story and it makes a great salesman, right? And it's the reason why you do a lot of business in real estate. It's the reason why I do a lot of business in real estate.
I always say too, like I don't have to sell the house. The house will sell itself. You came to me because you're looking for a house.
Heck yeah.
Right? I don't need to sell you. What I need to do is build this relationship with you and build this trust with you. And you have to know that I know my shit. But that's the thing. I only do that with stuff that I actually know inside and out, right? Like I'm not going to try to walk into a room and smooth talk my way into doing something that I don't really know. Like I do. Knew when I came into real estate, I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew enough about the process where I knew at least numbers wise, I'm not going to screw anyone.
Right.
And I know if I'm dealing with, 7 times out of 10, I feel like I'm smarter than the other person on the other side of the conversation.
Here's the thing. And we talk about this a lot, especially on our social medias. Real estate's a relationship business. That's it. There's no secret. Like everyone goes, I talk to so many realtors, like real estate's hard. It is if you can't talk to people, right? Like truly build those relationships because the more relationships you build, the more business you'll do. And the problem is people get in this business and they go and network and then they stop.
I IPA. Income producing activities.
Exactly.
That is, if I had one message to give to any realtor that's watching this, it's income producing activities.
Yep.
Everything that you do today isn't going to pay you for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months or years.
Shit, I'm still trying to get paid for the work I did 8 years ago.
But at the end of the day, like every interaction you make, every person that you speak to, every time you're in line at the freaking grocery store, when you're talking to the barista at Starbucks, when you're sitting at the bar and you're talking to people, no matter what the heck you're doing, everyone who you're talking to should in some way, shape, or form know what you do and know how you help people.
Yep.
Right? And I feel like every interaction that we have is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And it's an opportunity to build a relationship. And that will flourish into its own business. That will become what it needs to be. You know, most of my business, I'd say majority of my business now is all referral based and sphere based because I am now becoming the trusted person in the community. And I feel like coming back to Connecticut from Florida was game changing for that because I really couldn't do that while being in another state. Like I would build the bonds as well as I can from Florida, but you can only like send so many emojis, right?
Right. That's it.
Being in front of people and making a presence for yourself and ensuring that you're doing the right things along the way and you're acting in honesty and you have integrity and you're building your character and you're learning the different people and how to be empathetic in their situation. There's so many layers to this business. And, you know, one of the biggest ones is the relationship piece.
There's 3 characteristics in real estate. If you follow like a book, like you read it and you do it, it's self-accountability, it's consistency, and it's building rapport with your customers. That's it. If you do those 3 things, you'll be successful. Listen, every time I get in a room with a realtor and they go, I can't get business, I go, you can't get business because you're not asking for it. Just like you said, every day, every interaction, you bring up real estate. There's 3 major things in this world that everybody needs, okay? Food, medicine, you know, doctors, whatever, health, right? So food, health, and somewhere to live.
And a roof over their head.
If you're in those 3 fields and you can't, if you want to get rich and you can't get rich, it's just because you're not doing it right.
I always say at the end of the day, someone's always going to have to do something with a roof over their head, right? There are always going to be life-changing events that are happening, right? Are you getting married? Are you getting divorced? Are you having kids? Do you need to downsize? Do you need to upgrade? There's always going to be something that's going on. Is your landlord selling? Like with everything that's happening in the market, the housing market is changing. There's a shift. Things are happening. Oh, this guy is selling.
And I don't think, and to add to that too, I don't think people realize how much realtors do for the community.
Oh my God.
So much.
They have no idea. And the thing is, when those things happen for people, you want to be the person that they think of when that happens. You want to be the first call that they make.
I've had deals, and not in the community sense, but I've had deals where I went and painted decks to get the deal done. Oh. With my own money.
I'm about to do that now.
Yeah. With my own money, with my own labor, my own sweat and tears, right? To get this deal done. Will a lawyer do that? No.
And that when people say that they don't need a realtor or they don't need a real estate agent, right? It's like you have no idea.
No idea.
I had a client the other day ask me about like listing one of his rental properties. And he asked me, so what do you get paid for again? Like, what do you do? And I broke it down for him. His next question is, when can you come see the place and take pictures?
Right.
Because you have no idea.
Show value.
You don't know what you don't know. And I really do go that extra mile.
I do too. And I do. Our processes are very different. But the reality is like, we're here to do a service.
Yeah.
But to get that service, you need to put the work in. This is what I tell everybody. If you want to be a successful real estate agent, like you, like me, you have to be a politician. You have to market yourself. You have to be the best marketing agent for your agency.
Don't be a secret agent.
Don't be a secret agent. Where's Oscar? Oscar's a special agent.
Special agent Oscar.
I love that.
I do too. And he really just like held on to that and he clings to it. It's beautiful. I love it. You know what? But it brings him joy too.
But also, people are going to remember him for that because in his every email it says special agent Oscar. Yeah. I love that too because knowing his military backstory, which we got to bring him in here.
We do.
The only problem is he won't talk about his top secret clearance.
I mean, he'll tell you he has one, but he won't tell you anything about it. And you want him to do it on a freaking podcast? Like, are you crazy pants?
We're going to have to like bring him in here and like ease into it. And then he's going to freeze up.
I don't know. I feel like Oscar can surprise you sometimes.
He might. But you know what?
Oh, he wants to know about his laptop.
Oh, it's coming. Tell him to close the deal.
Well, the deal was the next one he got under contract, and he got 2 under contract.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I could tell him where there is a laptop where he goes. Only we'll know what that means, but.
Oh my gosh, Cody.
I throw in diggers wherever I can. Right?
I know you do. I mean, listen, it's fun to be here. That's a part of the reason why I came. You know, I'm just happy to be here.
A little crazy.
I like to have a good time. You know, people ask me all the time, you know, why don't you just open up your own brokerage? And I can, you know. I'm not worried about like passing the broker's exam. I'm great at test taking, you know. I'm not worried about my business acumen in running a brokerage.
Right.
I just don't want to. Why do I need to? I'm helping to grow this incredible company with a person that I really do trust that's already built it out and sees the value in me, and we can continue to grow and work together in this. So that's why I don't want to do it. You know, like I feel like I have a home right now and I'm building on it.
Yeah, and I think we see this a lot with all of our realtors. We have really good retention. I think our retention is like in the 90 to 95% range. And I think that small percentage that we don't retain leave the business because they just don't do it.
They leave the business or we release them.
Or we release them. And the ones, the funny thing is the ones that leave come back. Mm-hmm. Almost like 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And what did they say? They go, well, I thought the grass was green on the other side. And it's not. It's because I'm going to shout myself out here. I do a really good job. Even though I'm very direct, I do a really good job with nurturing my relationships with my realtors.
You do.
Whether they like me on a personal level or not, they respect that I'm very direct, very honest, and I tell it how it is. And then when reality slaps them, they go, wow, Cody was right. You know? And I think that's because like, you have a lot of the same characteristics. It's just,
I'm bubblier.
Yeah. There's no
we say the same shit.
Yeah,
it's
no bullshit. Like everything we do, everything we put on the internet, and this is the one thing I would say. Everything we put on the internet is real. None of it's fake. Yeah. Right? We're not doing like, I see some brokerages doing weird like videos trying to promote their culture and it just looks stupid. Mm-hmm. I want realism, right? If you go on both of our pages, everything we post is real. If the vacation we posted about, we're really doing that, right? We're really out here and we're working, we're doing this, we're putting out, you know, I'm a musician, I put out my music stuff. It's all real stuff, right? And we put that real stuff out even for My Good Agent. So I think we're going to continue growing because of the realism. And you get the cloud-based model that everybody wants.
Right.
Meets the traditional model.
Cloud-based meets traditional, baby.
So anything else you want to say?
Honestly, I'm just glad that we're finally doing this second episode again. We already pre-recorded it.
I know.
And whatever happened, wherever that is in the ether, and we got to do this again. And, you know, I feel like the first one that we did, it was almost like kind of
forced,
kind of scripted.
I was tired.
You were tired. I was tired.
This is more natural. Yeah. I like the more natural flow.
And again, like we're just kind of chilling. So I think I want to send the message to everyone who's listening to us, you know, just come hang out with us while we say welcome to real estate. Like when we talk about our real estate woes, the stuff that we go through, the stuff that we deal with, you know, we touched on Cody's story, we touched on my story. There's so much to know and there's so many things that you don't know about us, but stick to it with us because you're going to learn more. You're going to learn more about how we operate our business, how we work together, how we build a team, and how we cultivate the community that we have today. You know, I'm just happy to be here, man.
Absolutely. Happy to be here too. Well, welcome to Real Estate episode 2. Let's go.